I can't necessarily help you get to scratch, but what I can offer you is 5 simple things that are going to help you become a better golfer. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Knockstiff Golf. I'm Kyle, and as always, I'm just a fellow golf addict that happens to live in Anchorage, Alaska. When I'm not on the course playing golf, you're going to find me right here talking about it. So I thought I would put together a video after discussing with a new friend on the driving range a few things that I've ignored with this channel, and I actually feel stupid for doing that. Is right now, where I am at my handicap, I cater my content towards people that might be in a similar boat as me, trying to get better, maybe a single-digit handicap, and I forget a whole market that maybe is new to golf, maybe is getting on YouTube trying to find beginner information or just information that's simplified and not overly complex. I thought about this and realized that because I'm not a beginner golfer anymore, I tend not to look for those videos and I tend not to talk about that stuff. It has nothing to do with me not liking it or anything like that. It just, in a way, doesn't apply to me as much anymore. But what I got thinking about is a few things that would help beginner golfers and even help intermediate golfers. Is there's things that we tend to forget to do even as you become better that would help your game tremendously. And it's stuff that we get so focused on, working on our swings, going for birdies, all these things that we kind of forget some of the basics, we forget some of the common sense things in golf, and sometimes we just need a refresher. That's why we're going to go over 5 simple things that are going to help you become a better golfer. So number 1 is just simply keeping better stats. I went over this on a previous video where just keeping track of fairways, greens in regulation, and putts doesn't tell you the whole story. There's a ton of YouTube videos out there and there's a ton of information about stats that are actually going to be helpful in you being a better player. One of the ones that I've utilized this year is keeping track to where my approach shot ends up. How many feet from the hole, how many yards from the hole if I miss the green. This tells me if I'm hitting greens or if I'm leaving myself 80-foot putts for birdie. That tells me that I need to put it closer to the hole and therefore I need to work on my irons or wedges. So it's really about the stats that are going to tell the full story of your game. Now, these aren't guaranteed to make you a better player because it's all what you do with the information from these stats. That part's kind of on you to improve. That brings us to number 2, and that one is that you need to be practicing the short game. I would say 60 to 75% of your practice time. Now, it is important to groove a good consistent swing, but when you look at the stats and see that pretty much 60% of your shots are coming from 100 yards and in, that's where you need to be spending the majority of your time. Now, I know putting can be sometimes not so much fun to practice and chipping, but that's where you need to implement games, compete against friends, other players, and working on wedges on the range instead of just bombing drives all day long. Those are things that are going to help your game improve quickly versus just going down with 2 large buckets and smacking driver, 3-wood, and 7-iron all day long. Number 3 is kind of a difficult for some of us, but it's play with better players. Sometimes you're not always invited to play with better players. You got to kind of reach out to them and get to know them, and a lot of them are very friendly, and you just need to get in that circle where you can see how better players attack courses. The way they play the game of golf is probably drastically different than yours. A lot of times we want to kind of blame the swing or blame better genetics or whatever it may be as why somebody's better than us, but sometimes it comes down to just simple strategy. So that brings us to number 4, is we need to learn better course management. Everybody does, from the beginner to the pros. A lot of times how you attack a course will tell you a lot about how your score is going to end up. Are you putting yourself in hazards? Are you getting penalties constantly on the course? These are things that can be avoided with a little bit of course management. I'm going to tag some of my favorite videos down in the description below. There's a few that Finch has done, Golf Sidekick, and a few others that I'll link down there that have been really helpful in thinking of what you're doing out on the course. There's certain club selections off the tees. There's stuff to do when you're in trouble that are all based on what your skill level is. Based on what your skill level is the type of shot you should be hitting. Now, if you're in a bunker and there's a tree in front of you and you're a 25 handicap, it doesn't mean that you should try to hit the shot that Tiger hit. Try to hit sweeping cut around a tree to 10 feet. You don't have the skill set for that. You don't have the ability, so there's other shots that would be better suited for you to do to keep those large numbers from being on the scorecard. So this brings me to the last one, number 5. This is just simply cleaning your grooves on your clubs after every shot and cleaning the grips before you go out to play. Now I know this sounds kind of stupid and maybe too simple, but having a clean club face when you make contact with the ball over and over again, especially wedges, can determine a lot of the spin that you're going to put on the ball, consistent ball flight, a consistent spin rate on iron shots. So it's important to always have a clean club face, especially for chipping. So that's something you need to keep in mind, and cleaning grips before you go out for a round or for a practice is super important, because there's nothing that feels better than super tacky grips after just being cleaned. It allows you to ease up the tension in your arms and your hands. You don't have to hold the club so tight, which therefore allows you to swing freer and looser, which as a general rule of thumb can produce a better swing. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this quick little video. These are just 5 things that I think that are simple that can help you become a better player right now, and it's all up to you to start implementing them. Well guys, like, comment, subscribe below. Let me know your thoughts. Are there little things that you like to work on that have helped you become a better player? Let me know down below in the comments, and as always guys, I'll see you next time. Bye.